What if I told you there's a hidden superpower inside you, one that awakens only when you no longer seek validation through desire? Imagine a mind unshackled by lust, not numb, not repressed, but clear, radiant, creative, deeply at peace. For centuries, mystics, monks, and even some of the world's most visionary creators have spoken of this elusive force, not celibacy in the traditional dogmatic sense, but a transformation, a state of being where the energy once consumed by sexual craving becomes something else entirely, something powerful, something free. But in our modern world, we're taught the opposite, that sexual expression is liberation, that desire is identity, that chasing pleasure is somehow equal to fulfillment. We've normalized obsession, we've romanticized addiction, and in the process many of us have forgotten what it means to feel truly whole. What happens when we start to detach from the constant pull of attraction? What emerges in the silence? When we no longer burn for the gaze, the touch, or the approval of another? This video is not about repression. It's not about shame. It's about a subtle, sacred reorientation of your energy, one that can lead to greater intuition, deeper focus, creative genius, and spiritual elevation. In the next 30 minutes, we'll explore the ancient and modern secrets of the desexualized mind, why some of the most insightful people in history embraced it, how it enhances your inner life, and how you can begin to taste its quiet, powerful clarity. Stay until the end, because the shift we're talking about is not just psychological, it's metaphysical. And once you understand it, it might change how you relate to everyone and everything. Let's begin. Most of us live with a background noise we've never questioned, a quiet, almost invisible hum of longing. It buzzes beneath our conversations, our scrolling, our purchases, even our prayers. The craving to be seen, wanted, admired, touched. It's so normalized that we barely register it anymore, like a low-grade fever we've learned to live with. From adolescence, we're conditioned to associate attraction with vitality, sexuality with identity. Advertisements seduce us. Social media rewards us for appearing desirable. Movies tell us, love must be passionate, dramatic, full of yearning. We begin to chase the feeling of being wanted more than the experience of being whole. But what does that cost us? When desire becomes our lens, everything is filtered through it. That stranger walking by, judged unconsciously. That compliment, measured by its flirtatious tone. That moment of stillness, interrupted by an old fantasy. Our awareness, once vast and open, becomes cramped, narrowed to a tight funnel of sexual relevance, and yet we call this normal. What's astonishing is how much mental bandwidth this consumes. Entire hours lost in fantasies, days lost to heartbreak, years of self-worth tethered to how attractive we believe we are. This is not about morality. This is about energy, attention, presence. Can we truly see the world when our gaze is always seeking to consume? Here's the subtle tragedy. Many of us don't realize how distracted we are until we experience even a few hours, or days, without that hum. In those rare moments, we feel light, spacious. There's an eerie, almost unfamiliar peace. It's like your mind finally exhales. And this raises a profound question. What if we've been taught to identify with desire because it keeps us small? Easy to manipulate, endlessly chasing. What if the hum of craving is not a sign of life, but a veil over it? If this idea speaks to your journey, give this video a like so it reaches others who need it. Let's keep going. Long before psychology gave language to impulse and repression, ancient spiritual traditions were already exploring something far deeper, the transmutation of energy. In many Eastern philosophies, sexual energy isn't seen as something sinful or shameful. It's seen as sacred power, raw life force, known as Kundalini in yogic science or Jing in Taoism. The question was never whether to indulge or suppress it. The real question was, what will you do with it? Buddhist monks practiced brahmacharya, not just celibacy, but a complete redirection of desire into spiritual clarity. Taoist sages learned to circulate sexual energy through the body, refining it into wisdom and longevity. Even Christian mystics like Saint Francis or Teresa of Avila spoke of a kind of divine ecstasy that only came through renunciation of earthly craving. They weren't rejecting pleasure out of guilt. They were chasing something higher, a serenity that burns brighter than lust, a joy that's not dependent on another person. When we stop pouring our energy outward in unconscious longing, we begin to feel what the mystics described. We become full. Our gaze softens. Our thoughts deepen. Our intuition sharpens. There's a kind of power that rises in us, not aggressive, not loud, but anchored. But let's be clear. This isn't about becoming a monk or moving to a cave. These ancient teachings have always been metaphors as much as methods. You don't need to renounce the world to transform your relationship with desire. You just need to become aware. Because once you start to see the energy behind the impulse, you can choose. You're no longer a puppet pulled by attraction. You become the master of your own focus, your own joy. It's not about killing desire. It's about freeing it, and you, from obsession. The monks understood something modern culture has forgotten. When you stop leaking your energy through craving, you begin to radiate something far more magnetic: presence. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your reflections. We live in a world that worships pleasure, not joy, not peace, but the temporary high of stimulation. Swipe right, click play, tap to like. Everything is designed to deliver a quick burst of dopamine, a digital hit of attention or attraction. We've been trained to think that more pleasure equals more happiness. But has it worked? We indulge, then we feel empty. We chase, then we feel tired. We attain, and still, we crave. Pleasure isn't the enemy. But when we make it the goal, it becomes a trap. Especially sexual pleasure. The entire culture of soulmates, hookups, romance addiction, it promises wholeness through someone else. It teaches us to measure our worth by how desirable we are, and to feel chosen is the ultimate validation. But this creates a dangerous dependency. Because what happens when you're not chosen? What happens when desire fades? The emptiness returns. That's because pleasure touches only the surface. It's sensation, not transformation. And the more we indulge without awareness, the more we desensitize ourselves, needing more intense stimulation just to feel the same thrill. It's the spiritual equivalent of eating sugar for every meal. True fulfillment is deeper. It's quieter. It arises not from being wanted, but from being whole. And this is where the desexualized mind begins to shine. Not because it denies pleasure, but because it no longer needs it to feel alive. It reclaims sovereignty. You begin to enjoy connection without attachment, beauty without comparison, stillness without loneliness, and in that space something incredible begins to happen. Your creativity increases, your insight deepens, your ability to love expands, no longer filtered through need or fantasy. The very energy you once lost in craving now fuels your inner light. So ask yourself, has pleasure ever truly made you whole, or has it kept you seeking? Always just a little outside yourself. You might be closer to peace than you think. Ready to go deeper. Some of the most brilliant minds in history lived lives that defied the expected norms of desire. Not because they couldn't indulge, but because they discovered something far more powerful than momentary pleasure. Creative focus. Think of Nikola Tesla, a man who openly chose to abstain from romantic entanglements because he believed it would dilute his energy. Or Leonardo da Vinci, whose notebooks reveal an obsession with inner mastery far more than sensual indulgence. Or the quiet life of Isaac Newton, who never married, never chased pleasure, and instead redirected his intensity toward the cosmos. These weren't men of repression, they were men of purpose. There's a link between liberated desire and enhanced cognition. Modern neuroscience supports what ancient mystics knew intuitively. The same energy that fuels sexual desire also fuels imagination, insight, and innovation. When not burned up in fantasy or fixation, it rises, nourishing the prefrontal cortex, the seat of higher reasoning and vision. The desexualized mind becomes fertile ground for genius. Why? Because it's undistracted. It's not constantly evaluating people through the lens of attraction or emotional entanglement. It has access to deeper layers of thought, broader awareness, and emotional stability. But this isn't just about inventors or painters. You don't need to be a genius to benefit from this clarity. Even in daily life, you'll notice it. You listen more deeply. You express yourself more clearly. You make decisions from groundedness rather than impulse. Relationships become less about projection and more about truth. Conversations slow down and gain depth. It's like stepping into a version of yourself that was always waiting beneath the noise. And here's the surprising part. The less you chase attraction, the more magnetic you become. People sense your presence, your calm. Your non-neediness becomes rare and radiant. You're no longer trying to impress or seduce, and that makes you quietly powerful. Because power, true power, has nothing to prove. If this idea speaks to your journey, give this video a like so it reaches others who need it. In a world where love and lust are often tangled together, it's hard to imagine what love without craving really feels like. We've been conditioned to think passion equals love, that butterflies in the stomach and obsessive thoughts are signs of deep connection. But more often, they're signs of attachment, projection, and emotional hunger. So what happens when the sexual filter is removed? Love changes. It becomes softer, quieter, but infinitely deeper. It's no longer about needing someone. It's about seeing them. Not as an object of desire, not as a solution to your loneliness, but as a complete being. One you can honor without trying to possess. This kind of love is rare, because most relationships are built on the unstable foundation of unmet needs and emotional bargaining. We give to get, we flirt to receive, we say I love you, hoping to hear it back. But real love doesn't negotiate, it simply is. Without lust clouding the field, we see people more clearly, their essence, their wounds, their truth. We hold space for them instead of manipulating. We support their growth without fearing loss, and we no longer measure our worth by whether or not they want us. It's not cold. It's actually warmer, more authentic, more durable. You can feel deep affection, even devotion, without that burning edge of desire. You can sit in silence with someone and feel a stronger bond than any grand romantic gesture could ever create. You can even walk away with peace, not pain, because love isn't about possession, it's about presence, and this raises a revolutionary idea. What if lust has been distorting our definition of love all along? What if most heartbreak is not about lost love, but about lost fantasy? The desexualized mind doesn't stop loving. It just starts loving truly, with clarity, with boundaries, with freedom. It's not the absence of connection, it's the purification of it. If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. What's one moment where you experienced love without lust? Once the fog of craving begins to lift, something unexpected happens. You start seeing everything more clearly, not just people, but yourself, your purpose, your path. It's as if your inner lens gets wiped clean, your mind quiets, your emotional body stabilizes, and suddenly, intuition, that quiet voice you may have ignored for years, becomes unmistakably loud. This is the forgotten gift of the desexualized mind, vision. When you're no longer spinning stories about who you might attract or what someone might think, your energy stops leaking outward. It returns to center, and in that stillness, insights arise, unforced, luminous, whole. You begin to notice patterns in your relationships, your habits, even your past. You see where you were acting from fear, from projection, from unconscious need, and you begin to choose differently. Intuition doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't operate in the noisy arena of lust or approval. It lives in the subtle sacred space behind your thoughts, and it becomes accessible only when you stop filling every silence with fantasy. Many people report that after even a short period of desexualized living, Whether through intentional abstinence, spiritual discipline, or simply shifting focus, they feel more aligned, more guided. They begin to make better decisions not out of logic, but from a deeper knowing. This is not magic. It's the result of unblocked energy. When desire dominates your field, your third eye, your seat of inner vision is clouded. You're looking outward, not inward. But the moment you stop chasing, your sight returns, and with it comes something even more precious: trust. You no longer need to control everything. You start flowing with life. You sense when to act, when to rest, when to speak, when to stay silent. Your relationships become more soulful. Your work becomes more inspired. You become more you. The desexualized mind doesn't erase your humanness. It reveals your soul. If this speaks to your experience or inspires something within, let me know in the comments. Your story could illuminate the path for someone else. There is a peace that comes not from achieving something, but from finally not needing anything. For many, one of the most exhausting aspects of desire is not the desire itself, but the constant craving for validation. It creates the need to be noticed, approved of, admired. The subtle anxiety of wondering, am I still attractive? Am I still wanted? Do I still matter? This hunger drives so much of our behavior. The clothes we wear, the way we speak, the photos we post, the conversations we engage in. So much of it orbits around one silent hope: let me be seen as desirable. But what happens when that need evaporates? A rare kind of freedom enters your life. You stop checking your reflection for reassurance. You stop measuring your worth in glances or compliments. You stop bending who you are just to keep someone's attention. You stop performing, and in its place, you find a quiet steadiness, a sense of being enough, right now, without anyone needing to affirm it. This is the power of a desexualized mind. It returns you to your own center. You become less reactive, less needy, less tangled in emotional bargaining. Instead of wondering how others see you, you begin to ask, how do I feel being me today? And more often than not, the answer is calm, open, whole. When you're not constantly scanning the world for cues of your desirability, you gain back enormous mental and emotional bandwidth. You can finally rest inside your own skin. You also start to discern more quickly which relationships are authentic and which are rooted in fantasy or ego. You stop entertaining connections that are built on flattery or games. You crave depth, not attention. It's not that you become indifferent. You just stop being controlled by approval, and in doing so, your presence changes. It deepens. People feel safer around you, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you're at peace with yourself. If this resonates with you, give this video a like. It helps others find this space of peace too. Desire is not your enemy. In fact, it's one of the most powerful forces within you, but like fire, it can either burn you or illuminate your path. Spiritual alchemy is the art of transforming base impulses into higher awareness. It's the process mystics have practiced for millennia, not by destroying desire, but by refining it, by raising its frequency, by learning to feel the heat without being consumed by it. The desexualized mind is the result of this alchemy. It's not about numbness. Quite the opposite. You become more alive, more sensitive, more capable of feeling beauty, awe, and connection, without being owned by the need to possess or be possessed. This transformation starts when you stop feeding the lower form of desire, the one that says, I must have that to be whole. And instead, you start breathing through it, watching it, honoring it without acting on it. Each time you choose awareness over compulsion, you raise the energy up the spine, from the root to the heart, to the mind, and beyond. What once pulled you down into obsession now lifts you into clarity. You start seeing that the longing wasn't really for a person or a touch. It was for God, for unity, for the sacred. And in that realization, everything shifts. Suddenly, desire becomes devotion. Every feeling of ache becomes a doorway. Every attraction becomes a mirror. Every temptation becomes a teacher. You begin to work with your energy instead of against it. You listen to it. You channel it. You create from it. This is why so many awakened souls radiate a strange magnetism. They're not suppressing desire. They've transmuted it. What you're feeling around them is their inner fire, now shining as light. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more you transform desire, the more love you can hold. Not romantic love, divine love, universal love. A love that doesn't cling or crave, but simply is. This is the sacred potential of the desexualized mind. It doesn't kill passion. It turns it into purpose. If you've ever felt this shift in your own life, share a moment in the comments. Someone out there might need your spark to remember their own. At this point, it's crucial to clarify something. Choosing a desexualized mind is not about repression. Repression is fear-based. It's the denial of desire through shame, guilt, or trauma. It pushes feelings down, locks them away, and pretends they don't exist. But like any caged animal, repressed desire eventually finds a way to break free, often in distorted, unhealthy forms. Desexualization, in contrast, is a conscious liberation. It's a letting go, not a locking away. It's the realization that you don't have to follow every impulse, and in that freedom, you become more yourself, not less. To live unentangled is not to become a monk or asexual being. It's to walk through the world untethered, open to beauty, alive to connection, but no longer owned by longing. This path takes courage. Why? Because our culture doesn't understand it. In fact, it often mocks or mislabels it. You may be called cold, disinterested, unhuman, but nothing could be further from the truth. You're just not playing the same game anymore. You're not chasing compliments. You're not confused by mixed signals. You're not sacrificing your peace to be desired. You've stopped trying to prove something to the world, and that's terrifying for those who still are. But here's the reward. You get your life back. Your time, your energy, your focus, your intuition, your art, your purpose, and your relationships. They deepen because they're based on truth, not transaction. There's a quiet dignity in living unentangled. You become less dramatic, less reactive. You laugh more. You rest more. You notice things. The curve of a tree branch, the warmth of silence, the sacredness of breath. Life becomes more poetic, less performative. You start to belong to yourself, and once you belong to yourself, no one can use your desire to manipulate you ever again. This is the hidden superpower we've been circling around. The real treasure of the desexualized mind, not repression, not denial, but sovereignty. If you felt even a glimmer of this in your own life, that moment where you chose presence over craving, give this video a like so others can find this path too. Now that we've explored the depth and power of the desexualized mind, let's bring it down to earth. How can you begin shifting your inner world from craving to clarity, from compulsive desire to conscious freedom, in a way that's practical, gentle, and lasting? Here are 7 powerful tools and reflections you can begin using right now. Practice the pause. Every time you feel a surge of desire, whether it's physical, emotional, or fantasy-based, pause. Don't shame it. Don't chase it. Just breathe and watch it. Name the feeling. Ask, what am I actually craving? Often, it's not sex or touch. It's connection, relief, or self-worth. Awareness is the first step to transformation. Reclaim your gaze. Your eyes are powerful channels of energy. Start noticing when and where your gaze is pulled. Are you scanning people for attractiveness? Comparing yourself? Fantasizing? Gently, lovingly bring your gaze back inward. Practice looking at others without evaluation. Try seeing souls, not bodies. This shift alone creates spaciousness. Transmute through creativity. Desire is raw energy. and all energy can be redirected. The next time you feel a wave of longing, channel it into creation. Write, paint, dance, cook, meditate, build. Turn the heat into art. Let your longing give birth to something outside of craving. Creativity is one of the purest forms of spiritual alchemy. Clean your input. What you consume shapes your desire. Audit your media. Are you constantly watching shows or following accounts that stimulate sexual or romantic fantasy? That's not harmless. It reinforces the craving loop. Replace it with content that uplifts, grounds, or expands you. Feed your spirit, not just your impulses. Embrace sacred solitude. Learn to sit with yourself, especially in moments when you'd normally reach for fantasy, texting, or external validation. Light a candle. Close your eyes. Breathe into your body. Ask, can I be with this emptiness without trying to fill it? That space is where your deeper wisdom lives. Redefine attraction. Start seeing attraction not as a command to pursue, but as a signal to turn inward. Ask, what does this attraction reflect about me? What am I projecting onto this person? Often, we're drawn to qualities we haven't yet integrated within ourselves. Use desire as a mirror, not a mandate. Choose devotion over distraction each day. Recommit to your higher self, not from a place of guilt, but love. Light incense. Say a mantra. Take a walk in silence. Whisper to your soul, I choose to be whole. This devotion builds strength. It reminds you that your purpose is bigger than your urges. These practices aren't about becoming perfect or Puritan. They're about becoming free, slowly, gently, steadily. Remember, this is a path of compassion, not suppression. Some days will be full of clarity. Others may bring cravings or confusion. That's okay. The goal is not to eliminate desire, but to stop being ruled by it. With each step you take toward sovereignty, your life begins to change. You feel lighter, more powerful, more rooted in your truth, and perhaps most beautifully, you become a quiet invitation for others to awaken too. If even one of these reflections opened something in you, let me know in the comments. Which practice are you most drawn to start? With what if the deepest peace you've been searching for was on the other side of no longer needing to be desired? What if the real power, the real clarity, the real you, was hidden beneath the layers of craving and compulsion, just waiting for space to breathe? The desexualized mind isn't a rejection of life. It's a return to it. It's the gentle dissolving of fantasy, the quiet reclamation of presence, the courageous step into sovereignty. It's where you stop running, stop reaching, and start resting, not in numbness, but in the still, expansive truth of your own being. Throughout this journey, we've seen how desire can distract, distort, and drain us, but also how it can be transformed, how it can become a source of creativity, intuition, deep love, and spiritual power. This path isn't for everyone. It asks for awareness, honesty, and patience. But for those who feel the call, those who are tired of the noise, the game, the grasping, this path offers something rare. Silence that's not empty, but full. Love that's not needy, but whole. Power that's not loud, but unshakable. And you don't have to become a monk or renounce the world to walk this path. You simply have to begin noticing and choosing differently, moment by moment, breath by breath. So I'll leave you with a question. What part of yourself is waiting to awaken once you stop needing to be wanted? If this video stirred something inside you, if it offered a glimpse of freedom or a new way of seeing, I invite you to like the video, subscribe for more grounded spiritual insights, and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you're ready to go even deeper, watch this next video on Stillness as Strength, Why Doing Nothing Can Heal Everything. It's a perfect continuation of this inner journey. Until then, may you walk in peace, live in truth, and remember, your soul has always been enough.